Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Velo podcast. My name is Mike, and today I've got the whole crew here. Logan and Josh are here because we're going to talk a bit about riding Salsa's new Fargo 30 Tour. Logan is going to push those big wheels really hard today. The three of us were together in Squamish, BC for a bit of field test bike testing last week. Those videos will be out at some point, and we rode 6 bikes here. We tested 6 bikes riding together, including this titanium Salsa Fargo 30 Tour that's behind me. So we're going to talk how that bike performed. We're also going to talk about riding in BC. It was the first time for Josh, I think, riding gravel bikes in BC, and first time for Logan as well. Also, Lisa is here because, as usual, she is doing something absolutely ridiculous next week. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa is planning a century every day for a week. Now, there are 7 days in the week. I don't know if you guys knew that. So she's doing 7 centuries. Lisa, are those centuries going to be in kilometers or in American?
It's in freedom units, yeah. So we'll be doing exactly. Yeah. I mean, okay, so originally I was supposed to do the length of the UK, and then that trip kind of didn't pan out. So you know when you're training for something and you have all this fitness and you're like, well, what do I do? Oh, okay.
That's not true. That's not true at all. Mike has lots of fitness.
So we just figured, why not do 7 centuries for a week? So yeah, that's the plan.
So you're going to be doing, Josh, what is that, like 160 kilometers?
Yeah, it's 160K a day.
160 kilometers a day, 100 miles a day for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my first question is, what bike are you doing this on? Is this one of your comfy steel randonneur bikes, or are you doing it on a sporty bike?
You know, it's really sad. So the cassette on my titanium bike is cooked. So I could just keep running it into the ground, which maybe I'll do that. But no, I actually think I'm going to do most of it on the X-Lab bike. So the RT9, which is...
The bike that weighs 11 pounds?
13. It's a beefy 13.
Jesus.
What's funny is you said that as a joke. Like that was supposed to be a gross exaggeration.
Yeah.
It turns out you're only
It's just
slightly
a
off
little
the mark.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research, checking in. So the second week of the Tour de France was 726 miles of riding. Could you add on another 26?
That's true.
It's somewhere down the line. The first week was longer. It was like 800 something. But I mean, that's always fun.
That's true.
Sort of big dog those big dogs over in France.
Big dog 'em. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. So this is not the most planned out thing. Essentially what we're going to do is every morning, so I live in San Francisco, and there is a group ride every single day. So every morning we're going to join the group ride, and then we're just going to add on and sort of like freegan this thing and just sort of see what happens.
I have a question. Why? Is this for a thing, or is it just to do the
She literally already explained. It's just to do the thing.
Surplus of fitness. What are you going to do?
Something to do. I don't know. See,
about it?
but isn't this maybe listeners, viewers, friends, maybe this is an opportunity for all of us to just do stuff, just to do stuff. I mean, why not?
No,
It's
I
also
agree.
an opportunity for training. I mean, I feel like given what you do, this is like optimal training week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, in a weird way, it's easier than doing a 1200 because like it sounds insane, but like it's only 100 miles a day and you get to sleep like a full night, which is luxury. So it's not like you're getting the, 400K a day for like 4 hours of sleep and then having to do that again and again.
I think this is very attainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, especially for you, Lisa, because you do some absolutely ridiculous things. So this is actually probably more chill than some of the other things that you've done recently. I'm
going to add you, Mr. Levy, into this conversation. Given your Tour Divide prowess, I would say
Failure.
you also do... No. You did a heck of a lot. So you too are in the crazy sort of companion group of dumb stuff.
I think it's much harder when you're at home, because when I'm at home, I just won't do it. I'll just be like, oh, what's comfortable? My couch.
Yeah.
I think that's the hidden challenge here is that you could just sleep in the next day.
Well,
you just don't have to do it. We're on the divide. Like, it's like I had to do it. I didn't have a choice.
But if you see, that's why the group ride is the linchpin. We have to join the group ride. The group ride starts at 6:30. So like
in the morning?
Yeah.
What? That's the
Yes.
hardest part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I will
man.
say, having ridden with Lisa, that I appreciated that when we were doing the event, there was not a specific start time, and we could have started earlier. And I hate starting early, and she was like, a little later,
Yeah.
we'll be fine.
I mean, I think there's a certain anything before 6, it's just ugly. I don't know. It's like if someone's like, okay, we're gonna start the brevet at 5, like, dear God, ugh, gross.
I know you said you were joining group rides to at least kick off each day. I guess my next question would be, have you front loaded like the hard rides or the harder routes and then maybe finish the week with easier routes, or maybe you want it the other way around?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're actually starting the century, like we're starting Saturday. So yeah, in a way, we're going to do the first 2 centuries just as our own. So we're posting it and friends can join and whatever. And then the group ride ones start Monday to Friday. So by the time we hit Friday, when we really probably don't want to be doing this anymore, then we can just sort of like pull our way through it. But the elevation here is bananas. So everything is going to always have
steep too.
Some of it can be, yeah. I mean, there's a few routes if you go down south, it's not as bad, but yeah, there's no getting away from climbing out here.
Do you have a plan for motivation for like day 5, 6, and 7? And like, I know you're pretty motivated, but also I don't know, are you going to eat like tons of your favorite food, like, a whole shit ton of ice cream, or are you watching like some tour coverage, or what are you doing for motivation? Or maybe you don't need any because you're a go-getter.
Well, yeah. I also like so everyone is probably going to have a cafe that I want to go to. So then it's like, oh, we have to ride 80 miles to go to this coffee shop I like. So it's like, okay, well, we're going to go do that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That
so
is great.
If you pick your route in a way where you're like, oh, there's this thing that's kind of like a mini reward, but it's like pretty much at the end. So that's one way to do it. I think another way is just, like you're saying, having food that you really like. So, like I have this Swedish candy, but I can only eat it when I'm on a ride. So then you're like, hey, man, let's go. Let's go ride some bikes. So, that helps.
Very cool. Very cool. Will this be the biggest week you've ever done, or have you done bigger weeks?
No. Well, maybe. Close. I think I've done an 800-mile week. So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. But it was PvP, but our hotel, which is like 750 miles, but our hotel was like 10 miles away from the start line. So then we had to like keep going back.
Oh, that's the worst 10 miles in the world, isn't it?
Kind of sucked. So like to start the ride was an extra like whatever 18K or something, and then so it was kind of annoying. So yeah, I think that week might have been close to 800.
Yeah. Logan, what has been your biggest week? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I just looked this up. I actually almost made it to the 700 mark. I did not do it in century by century though. So I was at 680 when I was in Ecuador. So I did a trip to Ecuador. It's basically like, it was like 3 weeks. It was essentially a like grand tour. So it was point to points. So I didn't do nice round numbers, but it was like I started with 120 miles with 15,000 feet of climbing. Then it was like 150 miles.
Casual day of climbing.
It was like that was like probably the hardest ride I've ever done actually. Cause I was loaded too, and it was mostly at like between 10 and 12,000 feet. And that was starting the week. So then I needed like a recovery day, but I basically rode more than 100 miles, 6 out of the 7 days. And then like barely at a little, like a very little bit. And I was like mostly on the beach for one of them. So, that was my biggest day. But I like to do this when I'm doing training. I do like progressive overloads when I'm really trying to get stuff done. So that means basically I'll go 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Yeah. Like that. And then every once in a while I've kind of extended that, and I've done like 2 cycles back to back. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, or like 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 6, something like that. And they're normally like 10 days. And I always pretend like I'm racing. I always like have like a profile where I'll go hard at the beginning for an effort, and then I'll go hard at the end. I'll do different sprint days. I'll do different days where I'm doing climbs. And that really feels like engaging because I'm working different energy systems. And it's always how I've become the most fit. Like all my fittest times, I've done like one of those progressive overload blocks, like where I can just like take 2 weeks and I'll add like 15 watts to basically my whole power curve.
Just
I don't
90
really know how it
hours of
works.
Z2, eh?
Yeah. I don't know how it works, but it's just like if I sprinkle in some fatigue resisted, like some efforts to help fatigue resistance and do a lot of zone 2, it really does the trick. So I'm excited to see what comes next, Lisa, because this will be, I mean, obviously you're not going for race efforts, but I'm sure you will go hard at different points enough to stimulate the training zones. So by the end of this week, when you do 45, 50 hours of training, you're going to feel pretty good on the bike. That's my prediction. I think if you did do an FTP test, it might be higher than your current FTP.
Oh, God.
Give it a few days after you finish that big adventure, though, okay?
Yeah. Because one of these, I did this once after it. I did like an effort on my last day of the block, and that effort was like an hour climb. And it was my best hour power up until that point. And then a week, or no, not even, 4 days later, I did an FTP test and it was like through the roof.
Dang.
So that's what I would recommend. And also then we could talk numbers, which I always like. I always like talking numbers.
She's
Josh.
not doing an FTP
Absolutely
test. I
not.
tried to get her to do an FT vest.
Hell no.
She was like, absolutely not.
Oh.
You could do you don't have to. You could do step tests. They're much easier than the 20-minute test.
I did one of those once.
Although
Oof. Still
they're
awful.
hard to do off the. Yes, they're still awful. It's still about 5 minutes of pain versus 20.
Dude,
But
I did a lactate test once. Have you guys ever done that?
I have not. But I would
No.
like to.
Yes,
It's
I have.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, so what I didn't really, so they're supposed to, I guess they pick your ear usually to get the blood out, but bro was doing it on my finger. I had the worst bruise. Like I couldn't shift my hand for like a couple days because like it was the same finger that he was just like poking the crap out of it. Anyway, so
Sounds
make
like
sure they
bad strategy on his part.
not smart. Yeah.
You've got
not at
all of these fingers to choose
Yeah,
from.
bro, like
and you
anywhere
choose this
else.
one.
Oh God. Anyway.
Mike, to answer your question that you didn't have a chance to ask, my biggest week is not that big. I don't know. I actually don't remember, but it was not a week. We're talking a week.
Yeah.
700 or 800 miles. It wasn't that. Maybe 500.
That's still absolutely huge.
Yeah.
That's still a huge week. Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
only
I feel-
done 600 once. Like I'm
Yeah.
mostly in like the 400 to 500 for big weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So 700, 700's can I say metric shit ton?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or do I have to say
That's
imperial
officially,
shit
like,
ton?
technically, that is a metric shit ton.
There you go.
She is Canadian, so
It's true.
kind
Okay,
of
yeah, so
maybe
we can
some
call it
of the
metric.
some of the units
Yeah.
are in.
It's either metric or imperial shit ton. It's depending on
There
where
you
you
go.
are in the world.
Oh my God.
Lisa, when are you starting that, and how can people follow along?
That's true. Well, I started on Saturday, so this pod will come out on Friday. So, and it's just my name, Lisa Charlebois. I think I'm the only Lisa Charlebois on Strava. So you will find me, and yes, you can follow along and see how we do.
Okay.
Now, I do have to put a caveat out there. Without giving too much away, Velo may send her to another part of the world, and this may all come apart.
Work calls.
Yeah. Well, we can
It'll be
always
a
do it
good work
again.
trip if
Yeah,
that
there you
happens.
go.
It's definitely worth going.
Yeah. Yes.
We
that
won't
would
talk
be
about
cool.
it now, but
Fair.
yeah. Guys, Logan and Josh, you guys were just here for how long were you here for? In BC, in Squamish, in my town, riding
10
bikes with
days,
me.
right?
10 days.
I think.
Yeah.
I had 8 burgers. I did
Wait,
the
you did a
math.
burger a day?
I didn't mean to.
Yeah,
It
pretty
just
much.
happened like that.
That's because it's a resort town. Yeah, it's a resort town. So the restaurants are not like, it's a weird mix of restaurants
Yeah.
where they're
we
like
made a
kind
joke.
of, they're like fast casual or something, I think is what they call that. Like they're kind of nice, but they're not that nice.
Yeah.
They're not
'Cause-
that nice.
We made a joke.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, so we can go to a Mexican restaurant, got good burgers. We go to a pizza place, got good. It just was like, it just kept happening. I mean, some were good, some were not so good. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Squamish is not known for its food, but it is known for its riding. Logan,
No.
It is
What did you
known
think?
for its riding. I
you
really
rode
liked
gravel
it.
bikes?
I really liked it. Yeah. It is a narrow valley, so there's not infinite number of roads, but there are really banger roads when you do get a little farther out into those different valleys that are weaving their way up from the sea. It's the sea to sky area. That's what everyone calls it, sea to sky. And you go from sea to sky. So I really enjoyed that aspect. You got a lot of nice vistas of glaciers, of like gnarly traverses. And the gravel itself was my kind of gravel, which is also coincidentally Mike's type of gravel. We learned we align on what we define gravel as, which is cool because that's correct. No other definition of gravel is correct. Our definition of gravel is the most correct.
There is no wrong gravel. First off, Logan, I'm all about inclusivity. You know that, guys.
I disagree, but that's fine. That's fine. You can.
Why is Lisa laughing? Why are you laughing?
Well, I want to know. Okay, well, define us. Paint a picture for us. What is this gravel that you think is so great?
Logan,
it's better ridden on a flat bar.
That is incorrect.
Well, it creates a perpetual sense of exploration and adventure. You're going from
near
skinny
death,
gravel,
a perpetual sense of near death.
You go from like these skinny gravel roads that twist their way through forest like a trail, but there's no major features, so it's not a mountain bike trail. And then you can kind of weave your way up to like more rugged Jeep roads. And we didn't ride all of these. I kept hearing about different ones that went up various mountains that we didn't get to do. But we did do one of them, which was gnarly. So that would be like 2-track, like rugged 2-track. It's more rugged than the trails, which is interesting. There are more rugged trails that we didn't do.
Wait, I want to just interrupt you, and you can correct me, Logan. But this is, I think, for people generally. Levy, you might correct me too, but it's single track is a single track, but like a path essentially. But when you're in, it's a weird thing because you guys, like Levy especially, you were like, oh, well, that's not single track because it's not a mountain bike trail, which it was not. Many of those were not, but they are still single track. You're still on a thing. It just was smooth. And then there was double track where it's like a logging road. It's like, 2 tracks literally. And it might as be, that doesn't describe whether it's smooth or not. There was a wide range.
Yeah. And we did ride some single track for sure. A lot of the sea to sky trail that we rode is like pea gravel, and it's it's like 3 feet wide, 2.5 feet wide. Just that description, like just saying it's pea gravel, kind of doesn't do it justice because that sounds boring. It's basically like just a bunch of steep walls and sketchy sections and like max effort sections.
You would go through absolutely beautiful, smooth, flowy trails through the trees to like just crazy steep. Like you need 500-600 watts for 30 seconds, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
A minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was sick. Loved
it. It's sick. It's also a lot of work though. Like even like to do that stuff that we rode. It's funny, like, because it's really hard here, unless you just stay in the valley bottom, it's hard to just go for a recovery ride. And that's why I do so many of the snooze cruises on Zwift, because like, unless you're just riding the boring valley bottom, you're working too hard. Like just to get up anything, you're working too hard is one way that I would describe it. Josh, you're coming from a different background. You're coming from a road background. So I know that a lot of it was maybe rougher and more technical than you were expecting. I would love to hear what you think of it as well, too. Describe it for the people.
I mean, it's tricky. My whole entire training, like everything I've done for years, is all about keeping a steady state power forever until you can't, like until you die, right? Like
that's my jam too.
Yeah. You pedal and then you die.
Yeah, just like
we like having fun
here. In a perfect world, it would be like, oh, I'm gonna just hold 200 watts for 12 hours.
Yep.
And then but you can't do that there. It's like cruise along, snooze. This like it's just snoozy, like mellow, whatever. You're basically in recovery. Your recovery, and then here's a let's say 1 minute section at the longest of just super steep, loose, rocky, rutted, and you need like, I would say probably 600 watts minimum to even think you're going to get up some of this stuff. And you need to be able to hold it for 30 seconds at least, I would guess.
And technical too. So like, like line choices and stuff, and
yeah, your brain has to work while you hold 600 watts for 30 seconds. it does get easier if you can hold that power, but yeah, there's no way around that. And I'll be honest, I can first of all, I don't do any training work like that. Like I never do training work at like at those upper things, the upper zones. The only time I ever do that is I'm screwing around with some sort of group ride, or my buddy likes to like sprint for no reason in the middle of rides, and I screw around with that. But that's it. So I don't even do intervals like that. My intervals, like I did intervals yesterday. I do a 27-mile ride that's out and back. So what I try to do, my intervals, like my intense day is, can I hold 200 watts for the entire 45 minutes out, and then just cruise back.
So what I'm hearing is that Josh loved it. He was super, super stoked. Is
you
that
got to
what
work
I'm
on that
getting at?
zone 10, Josh. Zone 10 intervals.
I mean, you could look at this as the excuses. These are excuses. I'm just trying to tell people, like, the entire time that I was there, I had to be like, no, I actually don't suck at riding bikes. Like, I actually like, and thankfully, one of the filmers had been there with us for the San Francisco field test, and he was like, he just randomly told me some story. He's like, I remember we were in the car and we saw this guy that like came around this turn and like pulled the 6 move on this guy and like just dropped him, and then we were like, and it was you. And I was like, oh, Stefan, thank you for reminding me that I actually know how to ride a bike, because I was just on my back foot the entire time.
Yeah, I'm always interested to hear your feedback on that, Josh, because like I said, like the whole point is like, first of all, I thought you did very well considering you don't have a mountain bike background at all. Like obviously I've ridden mountain bikes for 30 years or whatever, in BC, which gives me an unfair advantage. And Logan is 17 years old, so he also has an unfair advantage. I thought you did extremely well considering that fact. And I think you could also see, like, if you were here for, if you spent a year here, and not that you want to spend a year in Squamish, obviously, but like all of those sections, like you would eventually get them and it wouldn't be a big deal. But like the terrain we have here is not like other places, it's so unforgiving and it's like max effort a lot of times. Yeah.
Well, this is this is something we also talked about during the ride, which I think you guys thought was interesting. I don't know, just my thought process of, like, my job is to ride bikes. That's how I feed my family. That's how I keep my house. Like, my job is to ride bikes. I'm like a sponsored rider, except that I don't have to be fast. My job is not necessarily to be fast. It is to understand bikes. And I have no interest in screwing around and breaking an arm for what? For one thing that I like. And then it's this whole recovery and like it's a whole thing. So I'm very risk averse. And I would much rather go slower down a descent rather than send it just because I'm not even racing. What am I doing? So it just doesn't matter. Now I don't, that's, you guys were wanting to send it and having fun with that, and so be it. But that's my calculation, is I have a lot on the line and I'm not really, really willing to risk it.
Yeah. I think that's 100% fair, for sure, given where we were. Especially, you don't want to get hurt in another country. And like, to be honest, like some of the stuff is, I would say like the 98% of the riding we did was gravel riding, and then 2% was above what the bikes were intended for sure.
Depending on the bike.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, but this is actually a great conversation, because I think a lot of times gravel is not always the same when you talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like when we talk about the Marin gravel, like to me, it's kind of low-key underbiking all the time, right? Whereas some people out in the East Coast, gravel is like a rail trail. So I think it's like a very interesting conversation, because it's like, we don't have a definition. Like if you go whitewater rafting, there's class 1, 2, 3, 4. Like we need that kind of language. Yeah. Like why don't we have that in gravel? Because then we could all talk about the same thing.
Logan's going to tell us we do.
We've tried. We've tried a lot, but the problem is every different region has a different way of classifying things. So like for me, I could say class 1, 2, 3, 4 gravel, and anybody could put whatever interpretation they'd want onto it. Like I have in my head what that is. But like in the Midwest, you've got A roads, B roads, C roads. In Vermont, you've got class. You have that sort of class system. In a place like Virginia, where I used to live, you don't really have classifications. You just say, oh, that's double track, that's gravel, that's trail. And that's kind of like where you would define different things. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like it's very regional, it's very inconsistent. And that's part of why I personally love it, because I think it is the discipline of cycling that takes from everything in a way that allows you to be someone who can dip into a lot of different things. And I've learned through racing and riding gravel throughout the last, 10 years, that I think really can excite people who might not click with either of the two disciplines, which I click with both of the other two disciplines. So it's easy for me to like gravel, but I think a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, gravel is like road for mountain bikers who don't want to actually ride on the road, or it's mountain biking for roadies who don't want to go on the mountain bike, which I think is like not very fair, because I think it's for like people who are looking at cycling from like a creative lens or like an exploratory lens. And I think from that mentality, I just sort of like, I can just get stuck into anything and end up enjoying it. So I think Josh and I definitely come from different backgrounds, and it's no secret why I do test most of the gravel bikes and Josh tests most of the road bikes, right? Like I do really want to go fast, and I've over the years refined my skills so I can go fast in a safe manner, because like that is an important aspect of gravel bikes. Like you do need to know how it performs when you're putting it at speed on downhills, but not everybody's going to do that. So now that we have like this ability for Josh we both go on either sides of the spectrum, but like for Josh to be his true self as a roadie and me to be my true self as some omnivore, we can kind of bring our personalities to the coverage in a way that I think allows for us to connect to the bike and connect the bike to the consumer in a deeper way. And that was really what was great about the field test, was seeing that play out in real life, especially with Mike being someone who comes more from the mountain bike background, who might even push my appreciation of bikes further towards that side of the spectrum.
I would be really curious after doing this. I want to see. So I have a buddy, James, Bucky, if you're listening. I have a buddy who is so strong on the hill, on the climbs, but I can drop him on the flats. And part of that is he's just like, I'm bored. I just zoned out. Like what? And I would be curious to see Levy in that situation. Like, here's a farm road for an hour. Like,
So this is what I was thinking is, I think the next time I ride road bikes with Josh, I think that Josh is going to step on me. He's going to do his best to hurt me. I'm not looking forward to it.
He's going to be on that stupid Factor 1 going like a bullet, like, it's just, it's insane.
I'll just be hanging on to his wheel.
We're gonna be doing a Velo field test on road bikes, and Mike's gonna pick the endurance bikes, and Josh is gonna pick the aero bikes, and Josh will give Mike a lesson in aerodynamics and why they matter.
It was okay. So actually, this is I want to say this thing. I made a mistake at the field test. You guys won't see this for a while, but it's every day. I wake up and I'm like, God, I hate that I did this. So after we did it, we did an efficiency test.
Don't say who won. Don't say the bike that won.
Yeah.
Spoiler
I won't
alert.
say the bike that won. I was asked a question at the end about it. And did aerodynamics have anything to do with anything? And I was so kind of out of it. I wasn't thinking it through clearly. And I was like, no, probably not. Because it was a very rough road. I looked at the numbers after; it absolutely did. And damn it,
that's what voiceover is for, and the magic of editing.
Yeah,
to fix all
it's
your.
Fine.
Yeah,
they'll fix it, and in a way, it actually tells a better story because I almost didn't believe it at the time. But it turns out so then I got home, I took the Factor 1 out, and I was like, oh God, I'm so happy to be home. To me, the riding we were doing, and you guys are going to hate this, but there's an element of it almost being like Zwift, where, when you're on Zwift and you either pedal or there's no efficiency. There's no you just kind of coast.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like. When I take the Factor 1 out, it's like there's so many moments of efficiency where I can be more efficient and I can be moving forward quite fast. I mean, Lisa experienced this. I could actually drop Lisa on descents, well, just from aero. I'm not even pedaling. And then there's these moments of efficiency that just did not exist in Squamish.
Josh, since we're talking about the Factor 1, I have
Yeah.
a listener question for you. This is a great
Is
great
this we're going to transition?
segue. Yeah, transition to listener questions, everybody.
Teed it right up and he hit it
Right?
over
It's
the
almost
fence.
like we're professionals. So this is from our YouTube channel, or everybody that's listening, if you want to ask us questions, you could go to our YouTube channel and post them there underneath this video, or you could post them on the Velo website, where you could also make comments. This comment is from Stuart, 3566. He says he'd be really interested to know, as Josh has ridden the current Holy Trinity, which is the Factor 1, the Cervelo S5, and the Colnago Y1 RS. He wants to know which one you prefer, Josh. He's seen previously you compared the S5 and the Y1 RS, but now with the Factor 1, which would be your preference? Also, shout out to the car reference, the Holy Trinity. That's a reference to when the LaFerrari and the 918 and the P1 came out. So, Josh, Cervelo S5, Y1 RS, or Factor 1? What are you picking and why?
Hold on. Are we just going to breeze through the fact that there's no SL9 in there? That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys talked
didn't
about the
bring it up.
SL9
It's a
when I'm
listener
in
question.
here, but like that's the newest bike. It's proven to be one of the fastest. The Cervelo S5, I'm sorry, but that's an old bike at this point.
But it's his listener
Wow.
question. It's not not a
I know.
Logan
That's just
question.
that's just a good finger on the pulse kind of incident. I'm just wanting to note this. Like it's shocking to me.
I will start by addressing this, is that, first of all, the S5 I think it was last year that they launched it, like the update. So not so old. Only a month or two before the Y1, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Also, the S9, absolutely incredible bike. I've come on here and I've talked about how good I think it is. I personally don't think, and I don't even really think that Specialized is necessarily, they're playing with words on this, but I don't think that when you talk about the most aerodynamic bikes, Specialized is not saying that the S9 is. They're saying it is aerodynamic enough to then focus on other details like weight and ride feel and whatever. And there's a lot of good arguments there. But to answer the question, I saw that question. I did sort of respond there, but this is a great opportunity. The S5 is crazy stiff. I find it, I
Too
like
stiff?
it.
Uncomfortable?
It's on the edge. That was what I was going to say, is that I don't mind riding it even for the long, 100, 120, 150 miles that I did with that bike. Totally fine. It just was, if I had any of these three bikes to choose, I probably would not choose that one just because it's so stiff. The Y1 is an absolutely incredible bike. It rides a lot like the Specialized. Like it rides like just a regular bike. It is such a good bike to ride.
You've
ride
described
feel
it as
is so good.
comfortable.
It's just, it's got that snap that's really good. It feels light. It feels good. That bike feels really great. I also just drives me nuts. I'm sure Logan can attest to this. My overindulgence in paying attention to details sometimes, where I should really just let it go. But but I drives me nuts that Colnago, like their paint quality is awful. Their out front mount is terrible. They're like, there's
At
all
least
these
it's
little
not expensive.
details. Yeah, right. like the details with Colnago, they just don't get there. And so now
Hashtag
there's
Ferrari.
a Y. Yeah, it's like that. There's a Y1 that is just carbon. That's the one that Tade rides these days. And I think if you were going to buy a Y1, that's probably the one to get. It's lighter too. And
Yeah, it's also 7.2 kilos or whatever.
yeah, it's lighter than but whatever. It's a better version. Also, you need a frames and gear out front mount, which again drives me nuts. Here's your $7,500 frame. Go now buy $60 or $100 out front mount, because the one that comes with it is
$7,500
junk.
American?
That comes with that's the chassis, as Envy calls it. So handlebar and
C-post.
and C-post, but yeah, $7,500.
So like
Jesus.
And
10K Canadian.
yeah, and then they give you a junk out front mount. Like it's just awful.
So
this-
is the Factor number one? This is where I think you're building, isn't it?
yes, this is what I'm building to. The Factor is incredible.
Can
The
you
Factor,
power rank? Can we power rank? Have you power rank right now? Okay, so before we get into the Factor, because
Yeah.
you've talked about it before and you'll talk about it again. So you got 4 bikes right there. Would you put any other bikes into the running for top aero bike? Like I don't think you'd put the Madone there. I don't think you'd put.
I have a Madone that the Robits seem to, as you like to. I did some AI stuff with, and they were like, it's supposed to be super aero, but I don't think it actually is. It doesn't feel like it. It's a comfy bike. It's a good bike. But
so without any more breaking into that top 4, so we got the SL 9, we've got the S5 Cervelo, we got the Y1 RS, and we got the Factor 1. How are you power ranking them?
So my top 2 choices, I would be the Factor and the SL9.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of what, like, do you want a sort of more regular bike that is really light and a little more comfy, but also just about as aero, if not. Also, the tires that Specialized includes on that bike, I think, are very low rolling resistance. So you roll out if you buy your gazillion-dollar bike, top end bike, you roll out the bike shop, and you've got a very fast bike just right away with the SL9. Personally, I would choose the Factor. I think one, it's crazy fast just as a bike, but also I love the storyline. Actually, wait, before I'm going to pause that for one moment. And I'm going to say, I also love that you called them, Logan. Factor are carbon nerds. They're just really, their carbon engineering is really pretty amazing. And so I think that's cool.
Yeah,
and then
it is.
The other thing is there's a story. When you show up to the group ride on an SL9, everybody goes, oh, yeah, that's cool. It looks like my SL9 or my SL8 or my SL7.
Or my
when
SL6.
you show up on the Factor 1, people go, well, let me know about how's
the
that
future.
bike ride? Yeah, tell me about this bike.
Yeah, I think that's a good list. I haven't ridden 3 out of those 4 bikes, but with the Factor 1, I think the number one criticism I hear from people who either are just like reading spec sheets or riding is handling because of that sort of wonkier front end. Do you feel that? Do you feel the handling deficiencies? Because like with the SL9, you jump on it, and part of what I like about it is like you immediately feel at home because it's in line with what you know. The Factor's not wouldn't be in line with what I would know, but I don't know if I would get down with it or not. How do you get along with that change?
So the Factor is a bike that it's like those flowy single tracks that we were on. That's how you ride that bike. This is not like, it's not a bike for getting out and getting technical descending even on road. Like it's a bike for going fast forward. And if you're going to descend on it, then it's all about leaning and angles and, I'm sure good descenders can descend on it just fine. I have also seen a lot of people complain about the stability on the front end. I didn't personally experience that. Pretty sure CEO of Factor called me fat when he said that maybe lighter riders might. Yeah, I'm kidding, of course, but
Damn.
He was like, well, maybe lighter riders experience it more. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying here, but I didn't really experience it. Also, I have since gone to a Zip 454 front wheel and an 858 rear wheel. And I think that is an incredible setup. Although the Factor wheels are really good too.
I have a question about living with these bikes day to day. Is one of them, for a home mechanic or somebody that has to do cable routing or, anything like that? Or is there one of them that makes a lot more sense than the other one?
Well, yeah, the SL9. The SL9 makes more sense.
Forget about the SL9. The three aero, real aero bikes.
The 3 aero ones? No, man. I mean, they're all just
pain in the ass.
Come on, you're not taking your $7,500 frame set, which the Factor is also $7,500, and I believe I'm pretty positive all 3 of those are $7,500 for the chassis. Jesus. You're not taking that bike and wrenching on it in your garage. You're riding it in good weather, and you maybe take it to the shop or do some basic maintenance a couple times a year.
Okay,
that's it.
Okay.
Like, let's be real here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Comfort-wise, I'm sort
Not
of
me.
surprised to hear you say that you would choose the Factor because I think I've heard you talk about that Y1 quite a bit and how like comfortable it is for big long rides, partly probably due to the frame design. If they're both, if that Colnago is, 99% as fast as the Factor, but the Colnago is more comfortable, is there anything to that?
So I'm gonna call them all basically the same speed. I don't
Okay.
think the companies would agree. They all have their wind tunnel tests that say they're different.
Yeah,
But
you made everybody
all
mad
intents
at the
and-
companies right now.
yeah, so for all intents and purposes, that's the trinity of the fastest bikes, and they're all basically the same. Logan's going to test a faster bike, which is the Strom, independently
Like,
tested
oh,
as
significantly
cool.
faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be really interesting because that is coming out of left field, let's say. And the left field is Boeing. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah. It's a bunch of cool engineers. But for these three bikes, they're basically the same. And the question of whether the Y1 or the Factor is more comfortable, it's close, man. It's very close.
Okay.
The riding position on the Factor is very good. It is definitely stiffer than the Y1, so love that or hate it, especially through the front end.
Okay.
The handlebars are much stiffer, so I don't know. But I don't know. Run your tire pressures correctly, people. This is not a 190 PSI. We're not doing that.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is from a user named You're So Vain. Last episode, like usual, we were arguing about down tube storage. So this is in
So we
Recurring
checked it off the
theme.
box. Yeah.
yeah. This is in relation to that discussion. He says engineers don't add features to bikes. Marketing does. Engineers fight to add as few things as possible that still meet the requirements that marketing provides, which I could sort of agree with. Coming from a mountain bike background and back in my pink bike days, one of the things we used to talk about a lot of the bikes had adjustable geometry and adjustable suspension rate, which sounds really good, right? You could adjust the handling to how you're riding or your terrain. Literally nobody adjusted shit. Everybody put it in the slackest setting or the most progressive setting. Maybe it's different now, but people put it in a setting and they forget. So personally, I always thought that adjustable anything was more marketing than engineering. So my question for you guys, in road bike world or in gravel bike world, can you think of any features where marketing maybe possibly led the charge more than engineering?
Bro, that Allied Echo with the flip chips, 10 million % marketing. Like, I don't know, again, other than Logan actually doing stuff, like, there's no world where anyone flipped those chips. I don't know, listeners, keep me honest and tell me I'm wrong, but, like, I have that bike, and I think I even Loctite put it in the, like, road setting, and that was it. We're done. Like, it's insane.
Okay.
I definitely would have flipped the chips for the
Yeah,
record.
you
I
would.
thought that was kind of
Logan, are you gonna talk
Logan's a
about
flipper.
it's the new one, the new version of that bike with the crazy stem system, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give you that chance.
that one is, yeah. So Allied has a stem where it's internal, but instead of going straight through the stem, it goes on top of the stem, and the stem is fastened by like a thing on top of it. And that
Yeah.
sounds great because you can swap stems, but that means the hoses are routed directly through the top of the steerer tube, which is not ideal because if you want to adjust any of the height of the steerer, you can't move spacers. You can't take spacers out. You can't put spacers on top. You have to completely strip the hoses and then cut the steer, which to me sounds insane.
Why can't you just cut a slot through the spacer and then you could just spread
No,
it
because then
through the hose?
because you can take the spacers out, but when you put the steer tube back down, there's a gap between the top of the steer and the top of the
Okay.
stem, and the stem does not sit. The stem cover doesn't sit flush. So even though you could easily remove the spacer, doesn't matter. You're still not going to be able to tighten the mechanism.
Wait, hold on. I have to derail this slightly. I didn't fully understand when you had talked about this before. Isn't that just like there's a number of aero bikes where you can't stack spacers on top?
Well, it would be easier to cut the steer tube. To cut the steer tube, you have to remove the hydraulic hoses because they go through the steer tube. So normally it would be fine because you're just like, okay, I'm going to cut 5 mil off the steer tube. I'll drop the fork, whatever. You can't do that here. You have to completely strip the hydraulic hoses as well.
Aren't there
Now
other
you could change the
bikes that
stem
run
length.
through?
I mean, there could be. I haven't come across them. Most of the time the hoses come
It's
in
next to
front
it.
of the steer tube or next to the steer tube.
Yeah.
Including
behind
including the
with
SL9, by the way. That's part of why it's really easy to work on. And then the hoses don't go through the stem, which I also think is nice. They tuck neatly below it. But yeah, you can swap the stem to create different angles of the stem, but then you're sort of locked in if you need a higher position for like a positive rise stem or like a really negative stem, which is just a strange way to go about that other than spacers. But Allied was trying to create a very sleek, svelte, easily changeable stem length system, and they did that, but with consequences. But then again, you could just say that all of internal cable routing outside of aero road bikes is kind of marketing saying something, and then the engineers having to deal with it. So this is engineers dealing with a marketing priority in a way.
I was just going to add, you basically said it there. I have an Allied with one of those stems right over there that I was just looking at. And I will say it is a extremely nice, sleek cockpit. And I know those hoses go down through there, but I feel like it's easier to deal with than like feeding the hoses on top of the stem with the cover is a less headachy way than hoses under the stem. Am I completely talking out my ass here?
Hold on. I want to just talk this through for listeners. So normally you would run through the handlebars, and then if you don't have fully integrated, it would come out under the, like in the center, back of the handlebar, and then go under the stem, and then in the front of ahead of the steer tube. That's a very common way to do that. And then this just sort of flips it around. I mean, my question is, for what purpose? What are they actually trying to do?
I think all of this was just to create like the ability to slip a stem out and replace the stem. But again, it's like stem or spacer. What's more important to be able to trade off?
Okay. I have one for you guys. Moving on. D-shaped seat posts or aero seat posts in general. Wrong answer.
Wrong answer.
I think that a nice round seat post that you can get anywhere and that has a bit of flexibility, or maybe not if you don't want that. Also, a lot of these D-shaped seat posts are held in place by some freaking jackass wedge system that is generally terrible to use if you ever have to loosen it. And I know roadies, you're not loosening, you're not moving your seat very often.
Try to bring your bike on a motorcycle, Mike.
It's a jet ski.
Nobody, you don't take it apart.
No, but
it's fine.
I'm
Just
with
get
Mike on
over it,
this
people.
one. No, okay, so Rafa, if you go to a Rafa clubhouse, you can rent a bike, right? And they have the Factor Monza. And bro, you can't even adjust that seat yourself. You have to go back to the clubhouse because it's so finicky. Like, first off, the fact that they use this as a rental fleet is insane to me, but what do I know? And I'm with you, Mike. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then you have this like bonkers bike that I just feel like it's not as accessible as it could be. So yes.
Yep.
+1.
Dumbass wedges. Yeah, I like that.
That's the technical description.
Yeah. I will say, like, I did have an engineer ask me about what my thoughts were on D-shaped seat posts, thinking about like tinkering it with the bike design. And that was coming from an engineer who was like, oh yeah, you can get some compliance out of it. And I was just like, no, don't do it. Keep that thing standard, please, because it just you get more elegant situations, and that's maybe a little.
Those times are gone, people.
I was gonna say, so Josh, your team like crazy aero seat post, I guess.
Yeah, it's just that's part of it. So I think, and I believe Envy was the one that started doing this. That was smart, not the D-shaped seat post, but they started selling what was called a chassis. And that is the modern world, people. We're not riding rim brakes anymore. We're buying chassis bikes.
Proprietary seat post is what he wants.
It's not that I love it or not. There's just a reason for it. And
what is
you get better innovation. Because it's faster. Specialized even talked about how it was like your legs become essentially a slot canyon when you're on the bike. Yeah. And so they found aero by speeding up that air through between your legs.
I don't care.
It is low hanging aero fruit, but at the end of the day, like some companies will have a proprietary seat post and won't offer it in 0 or 25 mil offset, and I think that is just ridiculous. Like that positionally, like if you're going to create something and then create limitations around it, and obviously people might not look at the offset of a seat post when they buy a bike, but it could be it could change the way it feels in a huge way. Like to not offer both of that dimensions if you are running a proprietary seat post, stop it. Don't do that. Make sure you have the right equipment.
What if they design a bike that is designed for a specific system, either offset or not offset?
And people are different, man.
So buy a different bike. Not every bike fits everybody.
Yeah, but like 25 millimeters of seat post shouldn't be the determining factor if a bike is right for someone or not. That's my point. Why are you closing off yourself to that fit of a person?
Slide your seat forward or backwards.
Well, you can, but you can only slide it forward to an extent. Most people err on the side of 25 mil setback. And I think that is rapidly changing, especially with shorter riders. Shorter riders are stuck on too short frames because there isn't the right seat tube angle. And one thing to change that is a 0 offset seat post. So it's like this kind of stuff is just like right there. And companies are not always thinking that through because they go proprietary. And yeah, I guess most people ride 25 mil setback. Just do that one. I don't like it. I'm not even someone who always runs a 0 setback seat post, but I've seen a lot of people in wrong riding positions hurting their hips.
I was going to say.
I am really passionate about it.
What grinds your gears, Logan?
I picture him on a street corner with a big sign that says ban D-shaped seat posts.
I like bikes that have functionality that can meet people where they are. I think that is like a huge through line in my philosophy about bikes. Part of why I love gravel bikes is they meet people where they are in a way that's very effective compared to the establishment of road bikes and mountain bikes. Mm-hmm. And that goes with bikes fitted as well. And that's also why I'm someone who likes tinkering. And that's why I'm someone who will flip the chip, you know? I enjoy bikes that meet people where they are. And I think that idea that Josh just promoted is terrible and we need to stop that. Stop.
Not every bike has to do everything for everybody. But
it should fit everybody. It should be able to fit everybody. Because people are so many different sizes, and it should be adjustable.
You should point out that I'm actually arguing for what seems to be happening with 32s. By the way, I didn't mean to do that, but I guess caught in my own.
No. Uh-oh.
We have one more question, or I have one more example. Sorry, before we get to riding the Salsa and 32-inch wheels. What about this? Frames with rear ends that have built-in vertical compliance suck. It's subtle at best, and more often it's completely useless, especially when you could put a flexi seat post on there. So for an example, the giant Revolt that we had at the field test, it's got a flexi seat post. I have an Ergon flexi seat post. That is going to do so much more for you than some freaking endurance bike road frame that supposedly has a bit of built-in flex. Like, go 2 millimeters wider and a few PSI lower on your tires, and you will notice a bigger difference. Am I, Josh, right or wrong?
You are wrong. It's not that you're wrong, actually. You're correct that your tire pressure will make more of a difference, but I don't understand why you would have to choose between one or the other. Also, I don't know why you chose the giant to highlight in that when there was the factor that
yeah. Well, that's exactly my point is we're talking about marketing things, and I think that the so-called vertical compliance that's supposedly built into some of these frames is subtle at best, and you get more from a flexi seat post. That's my point.
I think there's a lot of subtlety to it, and I definitely feel the difference of how clunky a bike feels in its rear end, especially with road bikes. Road bikes with high chain or seat stays, generally to me feel a little bit more vertically stiff and abrasive. And the same can be said about gravel bikes. Like I do think there is aspects of like the height of the seat stay that matter, but more importantly, it's like the length of the chainstays. Like if you have a short chainstay bike, you're going to feel the wheel under you more and you're going to have more vertical bounciness. That's just like, it's subtle, but like you notice it if you go back and forth between bikes.
I don't think it's as easy as looking at it visually and looking at a bike because it's not metal, it's carbon. And the layup has a ton of effect
Layup
on
matters a
how.
lot too, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So a bike with low seat stays, you know, I don't know anything, but I'm just saying things that don't make sense right now. But like a bike with
the wrong things. Just so we're clear.
A bike with really low seat stays, like it might have way stiffer seat stays.
Yeah.
And a way stiffer seat tube. And it's way less forgiving.
There are examples of that for sure. But it is from people I talked to and from my ride experience, like there is categorically like things you can deduce from broad strokes of bike design like that. But I would say, I think people overestimate the like look of the tube shapes compared to the length of the wheelbase when it comes to things like vertical compliance, especially on gravel bikes.
You guys are arguing for something that just doesn't really exist. Yes, it's true. The engineers could like do a crazy thing. They could be like, they could make the outside look like the most compliant thing in the world, and then intentionally design in absolutely no compliance. I guess that would be possible, but that's not how bike brands and engineers work. If you look at a bike and you see that it's designed to have flex in the rear end, then guess what? The layup is going to match that. This is not magic here. This is the whole point. And I will say, in terms of the rear end flex, and a lot of times I will talk about the pop of a bike, like that punch that like a good bike has, like the SL9. It has that pop.
Jump.
It just wants to go. That jump, yeah. You know what really comes? What really most of the time, those bikes will have a dropped, an angled top tube, and they will have more seat posts showing, and they have lower seat stays. All of those things promote flexiness up there.
Flexi seat post, too.
Yeah.
Longer, more exposed seat post. That's a big thing.
They take that D-tape seat post I love. I'm really just I'm really just kidding. But yeah, it's true that technically you can't look at a carbon bike and know exactly what's going on. But if there's no engineer as design, they're not trying to trick you. They want to show their work.
We're talking about marketing.
Yeah, the marketing says they want it to be the more comfortable bike or that it has compliance built in. So then the engineers go and they make it visually look like it has compliance, and then they add compliance. It all works together.
But as someone who has worked in marketing, if it weren't for marketing, you folks wouldn't have anything to sort of talk about and to review and to discuss. And honestly, like marketing is why you're going to come out with a win fin and some of this kind of BS-y stuff. But, you know, it does propel the conversation forward and in a way propel the industry forward. So marketing, I got your back. +1 for you.
Yeah, I think saying generally that marketing is bad guys, engineers good guys is like exactly what an engineer would say. I'm not saying you said it. I'm not saying the person asking the question said it, but I feel like a little bit of that is implied in this kind of question. And I would say a lot of times I speak to lots of people in the industry and they're perpetually frustrated with engineers saying things can't be done because they haven't been done before. And I think part of the role of marketing is to be like, well, what if we did it differently? And it's powerful to have someone who has knowledge of the thing, but might not have like the most intimate knowledge of the pre-establishing conventions to like poke and prod the engineers to like get them out of their little like knowledge echo chamber where they're constantly looking at the established precedents as like the rules of operating in a place where cycling where those rules are being broken all the time. So I do think I want to push back and say that some of these things that seem marketing-led are marketing-led for a reason because the engineers wouldn't think of it.
Here's my favorite way to frame some of this. Every product has a storyline. It should have a good storyline. And when you talk to somebody, like you'll be a marketing person that will talk to you about this, and you go, what is the unique selling proposition of your product, of your bike? If they can't articulate it, then there's a problem. there's a big problem. And you could see it as like a marketing problem, but I find that it rarely is a marketing problem. It's actually an engineering problem because the marketing people will be able to tell a good story if there's a good engineering solution. And the two work together. So this idea of like one's good, one's bad, this is that, it does not play out in real life.
Okay, guys, we are already at an hour. I would love to talk about riding the Salsa 30 Tour if you all have an extra 10 or 15 minutes. Do you guys have more time today?
Listeners, you got the time. Just tune in.
Okay. Okay, so Logan and Josh, you were in Squamish last week. Like I already said, we rode 6 brand new gravel bikes that could not be more differenter from each other. All of those videos are going to come out at some point. So including individual reviews of the bikes, and that includes Salsa's Fargo Titanium 30 Tour. So we're not reviewing the bike in this podcast, but I do want to talk about our impressions, mostly because I'm impatient. I don't want to wait that long to talk about how the bike performs. So yeah, and I think we all have some very different opinions about how the bike worked as well. Logan?
So what's great is I've been texting Lisa while crying during the field test. So.
I didn't see you cry once. Not once.
No, I didn't actually cry. I didn't show you anyway.
Yeah, you were crying on the inside.
I was crying on the inside.
Were you?
I don't want to take that. I don't want to take it from Logan though.
Were you, Josh?
Up that question.
Were you texting Lisa about how much you did not like the Salsa Fargo 30 Tour?
Well, should I give it away?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's an absolutely awful bike.
What?
Oh no!
I cannot disagree more with you. 100%.
I'm kind of kidding. In a way, I'm kidding, but
no, you're
remember
not.
how
You're
we
not
just
kidding.
talked about
Shut
that
up.
snap, that pop? What if instead you designed a bike that inherently engineered that feeling out, and then you asked me to say whether it was good or bad?
I could not disagree more.
All right, take it away, everyone.
Logan.
Yeah, obviously I'm an industry shill. I'm all about the 32 as I have been the whole time. No, I will say I felt it in reality, what I had already thought after talking to all of these people, all these engineers. First off, 32, this is not one that's coming from the marketing department. Let me tell you. This is coming from the engineers and the marketing departments desperately trying to keep up with the real engineering that's happening around this issue. So first and foremost, this is not a marketing thing at all. Anyone who says this is the industry trying to concoct something that no one wants or isn't faster is not telling the truth. They are telling what they believe to be true based upon, I don't know, vibes, because the evidence says it's faster in a lot of key ways for gravel bikes. And we felt that in our test. Both in my challenge and Mike in your challenge, we won't specify anymore, but the bike was very, very good. It was one of the top 2 bikes in both of those tests. And you yourself were doing descending where you were figuring out this bike while you were doing it. So it wasn't necessarily like as good as it even could have been with your experience. So like
that's why
I felt
kept it,
the
Logan.
power of
It's
it.
the
I know,
only
that's why you
bike
kept it, because you needed
that
to
I've kept
figure it
around.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, they asked me, like, what bike would you have taken home? And it was like, I would have taken home the 32 because curiosity killed the cat, right? Like, there was enough there for my curiosity to go. Like, I really, really wanted to hate it. I wanted to be Josh and I wanted Josh to be me. That was like, ideally what happened.
We did have a wonderful thing worked out that we were going to flip. It was going to be great. It didn't work out.
Because my first impressions weren't very nice. I didn't love it on my first blush, but I started to figure out and I started to like it. Now, the Salsa Fargo itself is not a bike that really is in the category of all the other bikes. It is a bike packing bike.
Adventure bike. Bike packing bike makes it sound slow.
It is.
I mean, it's not the fastest. So, I mean, I want to get to you, Mike, because you've ridden it most recently, as in like yesterday. But there was enough there for me to be like, yeah, this wheel size has palpable benefits that I can feel. There's so many more things to come. We need forks that are specific for that wheel size. One of the things that held that bike back was the fact that it's using a mountain bike fork. So it has a huge axle to crown. So the handlebars are really high. So it's never going to feel at all like a conventional gravel bike that I'm used to, which is a hurdle you just can't really get around with that particular bike. That being said, handlebars don't dictate the entirety of ride feel. And like I did feel real benefits when it came to traction and when it came to rolling over rough stuff. Guess what you need in gravel cycling? You need traction and you need to be able to roll over rough stuff. So it's going to be a player in some capacity.
Absolutely. Well, there's a certain amount of like, I'm joking when I say it's terrible or like whatever, but those things do exist. It is easier to roll over big things and it keeps on trucking.
Can I add that I actually met with the engineer on that bike, Allison Schmidt. So shout out to Allison, a 5'4" woman who designed that bike. And it is so damn cool that, anyways, hearing her story and how she like worked around some of the problems was pretty rad.
Yeah, fair play to Salsa, because nobody wanted to be the first to jump on this and be the first to offer something to the public. And there was a lot of problems that they were like, I don't know if we can figure this out for every size of rider yet. So we're just going to work around the problems. And that might make things like aspects of this bike feel less than ideal, but like we want this out there. We think it's good for the bike packing adventure use case. So let's see what the people decide. Major props to them on that. It was a huge team effort between them and TerraVale. And I think they did a really great job of getting something out there because it's available in August for people to buy. So it's, I think when we talk about the bike and we talk about some of the negative aspects, I don't really put that on Salsa's feet whatsoever.
No, also, when I talk about the negative aspects, what I'm really talking about is a difference in philosophy for how I want a bike to be. My whole thing is I'm going to ride a crazy aero bike with 1,000,000 millimeters of saddle to bar drop for super long distances. This bike is like could not be farther than it's the opposite end of the universe for bike design. They designed it for a specific thing. It happens to be not my preference per se, but doesn't mean it's actually bad.
Josh, in some ways, I'm going to make an argument for this being an excellent gravel bike for you. You have to hear me out. I know the front end is too tall. I actually took the headset top cap off and got an extra 5mm lower front end there. I do have some spare bearings, which might come in handy. But this is a bike that feels, number one, I would describe it as a very steady state kind of bike. It has some really light bird wheels on it right now and some relatively light Schwalbe tires, but obviously there's more wheel and there's more rubber. So, you can make them as light as you want and it's still going to feel a little bit not as fast to get up to speed. And that is what Josh felt a lot. But when you are up to speed, up to that steady state, this thing trucks. It goes. And it doesn't want to slow down, to the point where like, I'm going to put some different brakes on it even. But it carries momentum extremely well. So, I do a lot of fairly long distance stuff. So for me, I think it makes a lot of sense that way. And for Josh, also, it is very steady state, which I think you would like if you could get past that like initial lack of jump that it has. I think that's a great way to put it. The lack of jump that it has is probably accurate.
Well, so Logan, that was what Logan and I were talking about in terms of we thought there was a little while where we thought we might actually flip, and he was going to come away not liking it and I was going to come away liking it because he rode it and he told me like it has this ability to just keep trucking. And I was like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What if it was, but it just feels slow to me, that bike design, that particular design. But that's why I'm super curious if I rode, let's say, the Scott race bike that doesn't actually exist yet, prototype only, or that was at Unbound. Like, would that feel, I was like, maybe that would be an amazing bike. I just didn't really, this is a different design. The Salsa's different.
First off, that bike doesn't even exist in your size, and that's why the bike is not existing yet, I think, which is coming back to my thoughts on bikes that need to fit more people. It's a very real concern I have with 32s. But I think, what you said about that feeling, I kept coming back to the word lumbering because, like, unlike you, I'm a very punchy rider. I excel with, like, punches, and I'm maybe not the most gifted steady state athlete. So it was bothering me when I was like, I don't know if it gets up to speed the way I want. I don't know how it handles all those things. But then I got to a more technical part of the hill and it cleared something that I had not cleared on the previous X amount of bikes I tested. And I was like, that's nice. And then got to the downhill and I was holding lines that I didn't hold with the other bikes. And I was like, that's cool. Feels like I'm on rails. So I'm also excited to see how that develops because like I do want something that is a little lighter, something that might have a lower front end or definitely has a lower front end.
It weighs like
Maybe
20
that
pounds.
Yeah,
That's light for a gravel bike.
The giant.
It's surprisingly light.
I mean, there are other bikes that weigh a lot less, though.
I know, but that's like 3 pounds lighter. It's like system weight. Like,
Mike, I did the
understand.
math for you. I did the math for you. It makes a difference.
I
don't
know.
start
I
this
know.
with me. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole. But yeah, they do use good titanium. So shout out again, Salsa. But yeah, that is really the crux of like the lumberingness versus like the truckiness, if you will. Truck in a positive sense. We love trucks here. Go trucks. But yeah, that is really where I saw that sort of the downside of riding it. And then other things were like, it was less precise with handling, but then again, doesn't really matter because you can roll over things and be fine. So it was a great preliminary test of 32 that I think just entrenched Josh in my beliefs even more.
It was a little bit unfortunate.
I think, Josh, I have other reason why this bike, if you could get past the lack of jump, why you might like it is it has 106 millimeters of bottom bracket drop, which is absolutely insane. Obviously, because of the bigger wheels, it needs more bottom bracket drop, but it gives you that very much in the bike feeling. And I found it very confidence inspiring. So we didn't have a lot of traction here. It had been very dry. It was very loose. We're riding 50 millimeter gravel tires. You think about touching the brake and the rear end is sliding. All the bikes were sliding and moving around quite a bit. And I think to descend on a gravel bike quickly, you have to be okay with the bike moving. That's part of gravel riding. And being so far below the axle center line, it gives you this crazy level of confidence where, yeah, it's moving around maybe as much as the other bikes, but I felt much more relaxed about it when the bike was sliding. When the Argon was sliding or the Giant was sliding, I was like, oh shit balls. Like I'm just hanging on for dear life, like it feels like I'm this close to high siding. When this bike is sliding, it's like, oh cool, I'm sliding. It's literally
it's a power slide. It's a power slide.
It's not on the power, unfortunately. They're all brake. But it doesn't feel like I'm in danger when the bike is moving around. And gravel riding, to descend quickly, you have to be okay with the bike kind of drifting a little bit on the surface and doing things on the gravel and stuff. And I think that is a 32er's biggest plus, is it feels like you just are in control even when you're not, which is great for me because I'm never in control.
Lisa, you're the person here who I guess hasn't had a first impression yet. Are you more curious or less curious? Obviously, you're mostly on the road, but if you were to venture onto the dusty side of things, would you be interested in testing such a thing?
Yeah. I mean, I just did a bunch of gravel riding, but that's fine. So, yeah.
Well, yes, you do both. You do both, but you've said that you prefer a road bike.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I do enjoy it, but like, yes, 32, I think this particular bike is interesting just because it's actually accessible for someone who's like 5'5". So like, that's kind of the only option that I know of currently, or maybe that's coming to the market. Because otherwise, yeah, nobody under 5'9" is riding a 32er. So yes, sounds good.
I think one thing, I don't want to derail the talk too much, but we're starting to drift into something we talked about a bunch while we were there, which is, yes, this bike would bolster the parts of my riding where I am less comfortable, and it would help. But that's not really what I want to do. I actually want to bolster the parts of my riding that I'm really good at and have more fun. And I was curious to know where Lisa stands on that one, actually.
I mean, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it depends what kind of riding you're doing. Like if you're Logan and you're training for a race and you're all like locked in and whatever. But yeah, I think this bike would be particularly cool to test it under load, right? Like, does it actually ride better when it has some like weight on it? Because that, I would imagine, changes the whole ride feel a lot.
You mean bags and all that stuff?
Yeah, all that crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
like
we're gonna find out. I'm gonna bag this thing up and disappear on it for a little while. So I think
going off
and
to
I
the
think
bush.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's where this bike will feel. I think when I put bags on here and too much clothing and too much candy and everything that I need for my adventure,
Yeah.
it is gonna feel. I think it's gonna feel quite good. Yesterday, I was riding it, just coming home along the bike path, and I was catching up on my texts while I'm riding home, and I realized that I was going like 5 kilometers an hour riding with no hands while texting. And we can all ride with no hands, but once you get down to a low speed, obviously this is not like a real world, like, oh my God, I could ride my bike with no hands. Like, this is a big plus. The point is just to underline how stable it is. When I'm going that slow on my Allied or on my Trek or on my Giant, I'm going to fall over. The front end is going to go, and I'm going to go off the trail or whatever I'm doing. This thing is so stable that I didn't even realize how slow I was going, just sitting upright, casually texting. And the bike was just like the front wheel doesn't want to flop over once you get going. Yeah, I think it's
cool.
interesting things going on.
A whole new world, folks.
It's a whole new
32.
world. Yeah. Yeah. Well, should we end there?
Yeah, I think that's I think there will be lots more coming on this bike and all the other bikes. But it is a good opportunity to discuss 32 before, like, right at the beginning of it. And I personally think there's a lot of there. I do think there's opportunity here. I haven't quite seen it yet. Not because this bike is an actual failure, but because it's not the bike for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, stay tuned for all the reviews of all these bikes from the field test. They're going to be a ways away still. And in the meantime, I'm going to put a bunch of my own parts on this thing and do some adventures. So I think we'll be talking about how this bike performs in some upcoming podcasts as well, too. That's it for today's episode. If you have any questions for us about the 32er, about marketing versus engineering, or about anything else, about Lisa's adventures that she's going to do, put them in the comments down below, and we will maybe read them out on one of the future episodes, and we will see you there in a future episode. Goodbye, Vellers.
Oh, that's what we're calling them now.
Are we doing that? Is that a new thing?
I'm going to try it. Goodbye,
Vellers?
everybody.